Where's my action? I want an action.
And action.
This one is green. What's going on with this?
Meet the Burger Baron superfans. I invited them here to help me understand their obsession with the curious little fast food chain in the heartland of Alberta, Canada. Is this what you always order?
It's all my favorite things from Burger Barons. The mushroom burger with what I assume is Campbell's mushroom soup.
I really love the onion rings.
Love the sauce.
Nice, fat, crispy fries.
You just need to be quiet for a minute.
Right on set.
Lock it down. I'm eating over here.
Could you describe Burger Baron to someone who's never heard of it or been there before?
The broken down, dirtiest look. I can't say that. It's true. You roll into town and you look for the dirtiest place that has a beacon of hope shining on it with a weird little man. Go eat that burger.
The man on your shirt.
That's right, the dirty little man on my shirt.
What I've noticed about Burger Barons is that sometimes they look a bit tatty. They need a coat of paint. But they can still put out that darn good mushroom burger.
It's like a classic diner burger, but all of them are going to be a little bit different because of the way they've all drifted apart from each other.
The best part about Burger Baron is the people. They've always been very polite, friendly, enthusiastic, and willing to go the extra bit.
That looks pretty good. Can I have a bite of that?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Sure.
Sorry, guys. We can do this. We're bubbled up. It's my dad.
Childcare.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
absolutely.
that's my father-in-law. This is my dad. That's my mom. And this is the grand opening of the Burger Baron in High Prairie. Our Burger Baron.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're officially opening the new Burger Baron.
The restaurant changed our lives forever. It moved us up from the working class to the middle class and made it possible for my parents to live out the immigrant dream in Canada. That's me in the middle. As you can tell, I really love the food. It wasn't until I got older that I realized my parents weren't the only barons on the prairies. There were dozens of them spread around small-town Alberta. And other than that one mushroom burger everyone loved, they didn't seem to have anything in common. Except for one thing. All of them, every single one, was owned by Lebanese immigrants like my parents.
The minute you say you have a burger brand, the first thing anybody will ask you, are you Lebanese?
Nobody really knows who the owner is. You know, the Lebanese people came, took it, and made it the company that it is.
Is it cultural appropriation? Well, I don't know. It doesn't say Burger Chic.
It's one of the most recognizable and beloved brands in the Prairie Province of Alberta, with over 25 completely independent locations spreading from north to south and one in BC.
The Burger Baron restaurants that were and are landmarks across the prairies.
Alberta's known for like ranching, rednecks, jacked up pickup trucks, but then there's all these Burger Baron stores that are run by Lebanese families.
There was people, I'm sure, that thought maybe we were doing something legal. It's almost like the burger mafia.
Their penchants for big houses and nice cars might make the barons look like mafioso, but if there's one thing this mob isn't, it's organized.
There is no actual system. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing with Burger Baron.
Which might explain how it became more of a meme than franchise. So what's going on here? How did a loose network of Arab immigrants become a cabal of burger impresarios?
It's a territorial business. My burger brand is better than his burger brand.
My dad's Burger
Your dad is Burger Baron. No, my dad is Burger Baron. My dad was Burger Baron before your dad was Burger Baron. It was once an international brand with more than 100 locations in its history, spread across 11 provinces and states, and there was even one in Lebanon. But the Burger Baron's heyday is no more. Even before the pandemic turned the restaurant business upside down, Burger Barons were closing at a steady clip.
They need somebody to take over the business who's enthusiastic about it.
This Burger Baron will not be passed down to me. I can guarantee you that, or my brother.
I'm sure they'll die off 20 years from now. You know, maybe we'll have one left.
With the rise of big box chains and foodie culture, and a second generation chasing their own dreams, is there really a future for the Burger Baron? Kelly Saab, interview, take one. So you're going to be looking at me. There we go, man. Kelly Saab, interview, take two.
I'm the owner of the Burger Baron in Rocky Mountain House. I got this business around 2015. We went through like a rough road due to economy, recession, neglection, and it wasn't in a great shape, so I had to work it out all the way from scratch. I graduated in Beirut as a hospitality management, and I worked in different places down there, but this business needs sort of a stability in the country. When the war started, we were just in the middle of like the peak time of the night at that nightclub.
After years of calm, Israel assaulted the Lebanese capital with air missiles in retaliation for a guerrilla attack that killed 8 Jewish soldiers.
Everything was just like gone in seconds. One of my cousins knows some people that lives in Edmonton, and they have a couple successful restaurants, and they were hiring people from overseas. They got my number, and then they contacted me, and we did all the paperwork needed, and I get approved.
Little did Kelly know, he'd been invited to learn the trade secrets of the Lebanese burger mafia. It was basically destiny that one day he would have his own Burger Baron. Why do you think it's Lebanese dominated?
It was owned by maybe 2-3 brothers and some cousins or friends, and opening their own in a different towns, and then that's how it's just turned to be like all Lebanese.
Kelly's not wrong. It did start with 2 or 3 brothers and some cousins or some friends, and they were immigrants, just not Lebanese. They were Americans, Irish Americans, named the McDonalds. That's McDonnell.
My name is Terry McDonald. I'm the son of Jack McDonald, who started the Burger Baron in Canada. I've heard different stories about they've started it. It infuriates me. It's just not true. It's not even close to it. It's just out and out lie, and I don't like it. That's not the case. My dad started that, period. He had a lot of different businesses over the years. When I was very little, the family went up to Alaska, and he was building homes for the government. He had a lumber yard in Great Falls. He was always on a new idea. There was a place in Great Falls, Montana called the Burger Master. It was my dad's inspiration, and he went and talked to him about it. He said, I want to do something in Canada. Would you guys show me how to do this? He spent a couple weeks with them, just learning the ropes, and then decided to move from there to Calgary.
The fast food era goes back a long way. It was when the car became important. Not just one car in the family either, but 2 cars, more cars. That's what drove the fast food era. It was easy, it was relatively inexpensive to get burgers for everybody, and everybody could find what they wanted. I mean, find me a child that doesn't like French fries. We all love French fries and burgers.
By 1957, a new McDonald's was opening every 2 weeks in America, more than tripling from just the previous year. On track to have 100 golden arches up by the end of the decade, Jack saw an opportunity to build the McDonald's of the North.
There weren't a lot of fast foods up there then. When he first built the Burger Baron in Calgary, the first one, we went to a sign company and said, I've got this place, the Burger Baron, I'm gonna need signs. And the guy said, well, do you want me to design one for you? And Dad said, yeah, by all means. So he then drew up the Baron, the little fat guy, colorful, smiley-faced Baron, and stuck with it.
Jack was so confident that he had the next McDonald's that he simultaneously built a second location 200 kilometers away in Lethbridge and brought his brother Mandy up from Montana to run it. They opened them on the same day.
They had a 5 or 6 speaker system, and then past that was another 6 or 7 capacity in the lineup for cars. It would have been 2 or 3 blocks long at least until they closed at midnight. It was neat to know that this was happening to our family, that this is a big success.
Jack invited more relatives up to run his burger joints. And when he ran out of family members to go into business with him, he took his next big step.
The financial statements were so strong, it was just easy to sell franchises. In the 50s and 60s, it really was. Everybody knew the Burger Baron.
It was a phenomenon with its own championship baseball team, race team, beauty pageant contestant, and quite possibly the world's biggest burger on order.
The sauce, that was one of the secrets. He didn't give it out to anybody, not even the franchisees. They would supply each of the restaurants with the Baron sauce, and so the recipe wasn't on the can.
With McDonald's still a decade away from opening in Canada, Burger Baron might have been the fastest growing restaurant chain in the country. In just over 3 years, it grew to have 30 locations in 6 provinces and 2 states. But not everyone wanted a Burger Baron in their backyard.
We'd hang around there and see if we could meet ladies or if likely be a fight or something you could watch or get in. So we had an opportunity to meet the Who. When they were on a tour, we wound up taking Keith Moon and the road manager of the Who out to the Burger Baron. We were kind of long-haired hippies, and these 2 carloads of what we called grease balls came in, and for some reason Keith Moon wanted to go pick a fight with these 2 carloads full of these local guys. And this is not a good idea. Maybe in England, but if we try that, we're going to get stomped out.
Whether it was litter or toxic masculinity, people were quick to forget about all that riffraff once they had a taste of Jack McDonald's secret mushroom burger and sauce. The company introduced it on Valentine's Day 1961, and it was love at first sight.
The first time I wrote about Burger Baron, I had been given an assignment to go out and gather up 3 or 5 burgers, bring them back to the Journal, and we would test them for quality. So off I went in my little Ford Pinto. I would have had maybe a McDonald's burger, likely an A&W, and I needed 1 more. So whatever burger joint I drive past, that's it. It happened to be a Burger Baron. And I sailed in and ordered the mushroom burger, and the mushroom burger won, hands down. I have to say it was the sauce. That mushroom sauce is important. It's iconic. First time I tasted that mushroom sauce, I was 8 years old again, back in my mom's kitchen, and I can see her opening that can of mushroom soup. I'm mad for these mushroom burgers.
My father made mistakes, and some were big ones. Number one, moving way too fast. Number two, training staff. He didn't train the new franchisees well enough, and the franchisees didn't train their staff well enough. And that was a big problem.
There is a company that we call a franchisor. So they're the ones who have the secret processes or the trademark or what have you. And they sell the rights to use those to a franchisee. And the franchisee then gets to use the secret processes. Maybe it's the secret mushroom burger recipe. They get to use the logo. And in exchange for that, they have to pay either a regular fee or usually part of their profits to the franchisor. And they also have to maintain certain standards.
The restaurants weren't run properly. The franchisees would add menu items. Then you get a lot of menu items, and then the speed goes down. Quality isn't the same.
Jack had lost focus on the two things that made it an immediate success: good food and fast service. He invested all his energy into the brand, co-signing on expansions in major cities with franchisees who couldn't afford it on their own, all because he wanted to beat the other big chains to the punch. Betting on making Burger Baron a household name, Jack put his last chips on 2 Montreal locations. And when they went down, Jack was on the hook with creditors.
The Burger Baron companies had gone through a bankruptcy process and voluntary liquidation under the Companies Act.
I don't remember any legal matters. When they divorced, Mom and my sister and I moved to Lethbridge, so I assume that's when it was all starting. Maybe he was embarrassed or ashamed. You know, everything was falling down. With the franchise, it had intellectual properties such as the Little Baron and the name, of course. Those are intellectual properties that you protect. And without protecting it, people are going to try and use it.
You have to sue to enforce intellectual property. But if the company that has the right to sue for trademark infringement no longer exists, and that IP hasn't been transferred to some other entity, then you're in a situation where everybody can use that IP and there's nobody who is going to be enforcing their right to exclusive use of that logo or that name.
In fact, at that point, Dad gave all of them the recipe to the sauce. And he didn't charge them any franchise fees anymore. Without that recipe, they'd all been in a lot of trouble.
By finally sharing his secret processes with the other barons, he'd given them legal permission to keep the brand alive. But in the mid-60s, as McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's prepared aggressive expansions into Canada, the writing was on the wall. The chain couldn't survive without someone who cared about it as much as Jack. It needed a white knight in shining armor, but it got a brown knight instead.
My name is Rudy Cavaldine. I started with the Burger Barons in 1965. After that, I built bigger places. I have about 7 locations of my own. Before I came to Canada, and we only lived 18 kilometers from Beirut. Very good memories.
6,000 feet above sea level, in the land of Lebanon, stand the world-famous cedar trees, the emblem of the country and one of its most precious relics.
It's the golden days of Lebanon. It was the very famous spot for tourists. You could swim and ski at the same time in the year. It was beautiful. My dad used to own a truck. He used to travel to Palestine, to Jordan, Syria. As a child, we know what's happening between the Arabs and Israel. It was, of course, miserable for everybody, especially for the Palestinians.
The Paris of the Middle East was starting to unravel as the country struggled with influxes of refugees and rebel factions. Rudy and his younger brother Sal wanted out before things worsened, but most of all, they just wanted to go to the Western Promised Land.
I thought the West is the exact perfection of humanity. This is how strong Hollywood is.
The brothers' only connection to North America was an uncle in Saskatchewan who'd migrated decades earlier in the 1920s. following thousands of other Lebanese in the North American prairies living as homesteaders, fur traders, and most of all, peddlers.
They had small carts drawn by horses. They were selling different kinds of grains, cloth, and trinkets of all kinds. That Levantine ethic emphasizes independence. It's an ethic that emphasizes capitalistic enterprise. They went into business for themselves.
For the Lebanese prairie peddlers, the destination was always the same. They worked until they saved enough to open a permanent business and start bringing family members out west from Lebanon, a process of chain migration that created some of North America's oldest Arab communities today.
One of the things that I found really interesting about Lebanese people, who have been in the province over 100 years, have been integral to a number of different communities here. And it shows some of the challenges that not only they, but other immigrant communities have faced in terms of providing for themselves financially, right? You look at the history of restaurants on the prairies and you see immigrant groups who have been excluded from more mainstream routes to financial success, starting with Chinese restaurants, Lebanese restaurants. How many small towns have little Greek restaurants?
My uncle has got a restaurant and a small hotel and a general store. He got me into the Canada with my brother, so we both came in 1957.
When I came to Saskatchewan, I said to myself, what the devil am I doing here? There's nothing what I saw in the movies. And it was like just a heavy heart like you wouldn't believe.
It's an adventure for me.
He worked with my uncle for a while, and I only stayed there for about 3 months. When I came to Calgary, I felt better, but not that much better.
To me, I was, my mind, restaurants. First job in Winnipeg. Okay. Just as a worker in a restaurant, it used to be famous with the spaghetti and meatballs, two Greek brothers. That was in Calgary. I have 2 partners, and I was a 3rd partner. And when I was in Calgary, there's a manager of Safeway, and he told me there's a burger man for sale in Edmonton. So I came right away to Edmonton. I
Really?
didn't hesitate, yeah.
When you were in Calgary, you must have loved Burger Baron.
I never tried it before.
You never tried it
I
before
never
you
tried
bought
before.
it?
I heard about it. It's a busy place. I only care about, he says he was taking about $100,000 a year.
You didn't need to taste the product because the product was
I know the
obviously
business is good. That's what you told me.
the money was the product.
This is the first Burger Baron I bought in 1964. In these days, I was making $1,000 a day. When I put a mushroom burger for sale, it's a line up to 75th Street, from 68th to 75th. And they got the police directed traffic, you know.
Did you have to pay the police for that? Or you just paid them with burgers?
Just free hamburgers.
Yeah, free hamburgers, yeah. Rudy initially didn't know he'd bought into an orphan franchise of a company in collapse, but he couldn't have been happier with the realization. It meant he was free to expand and do as he wished. Change the logo, make up new burgers pandering to local pride, or possibly concoct a story about inventing the chain 2 years before Jack McDonald.
This is not a Burger Baron.
So this shouldn't say Burger Baron?
No.
I thought my father was the inventor of Burger Baron until I was 15 or 16. I realized, well, maybe there's another side of the story. My name is Jamal Kamaldeen. I am the son of Rudy Kamaldeen, aka the Godfather. He always wore a 3-piece suit to the restaurant, and that had a lot to do with him growing up from humble beginnings. He grew up watching the big movie stars, Cary Grant and Dean Martin on Singer. They always had nice suits, cigar, wine. I mean, that explains why he likes suits, cigars, and wine so much these days. And then he always had the big cars, the big Cadillacs with the Continental kits, gold-plated trimming all over the place, and they called my father the Godfather growing up.
And like a true godfather, Rudy worked hard to recruit the right people to help run his empire.
That's Fauzi, you know, the how skinny he was.
I came here in '69 to go to university. He had to go to Lebanon for a few months.
He asked me just to do very little things like deposit the money, pay the suppliers and the girls. So I thought to myself, I'll work and save some money and get back to university. That didn't happen because you get the bug of this kind of business, you know, you love it.
The Camaldine Empire got help from Alberta's newly discovered oil reserves and a wave of Canadians racing west to cash in on a middle-class dream. But another global event would soon spread that empire beyond anyone's imagination.
My name is Nazim Kamaluddin. I came from Lebanon back in 1976. It was a civil war. We have applied to come to Canada just before that broke out. And then it didn't get approved until after the war started. It was my family and my cousins, Khalid Kamaluddin family.
Their uncles Rudy and Sal had pitched in to get all their immediate relatives to safety in Canada, 6 families in all. But the danger was highest for young males like Nazim and Khalid. Militants representing the minority Druze faith were recruiting teenagers to help fortify Mount Lebanon against other religious factions, turning them against friends and neighbors.
Lebanon is divided by religious groups. The Maronites, the Sunni Muslims, the Shi'i Muslims, the Druze, and the political system tries to appeal to different groups. They established an unwritten constitution that the president of the country will always be a Maronite, that the prime minister of the country will always be a Sunni Muslim, and so on. So whenever you have a system that is based on religion, some groups may feel aggrieved.
My best friends are Christians. My best friends they're Muslims. Like we grew together in that area, you know, and suddenly each one have to disappear. I lose friends from school, even about maybe 3 or 4 of them. Like I was close friends with you in school, you know, they just died in a war, you know.
Your only way out is the water. So we had to leave on a boat to Cyprus. It was in the evening sometimes, and that boat was supposed to be 100 people max, but there was over 250 on that boat. I remember sitting on the deck outside, and water was coming in from the sea. We got stopped by the Israeli boats. Palestinians were in there, and they were just ripping out papers and throwing them in the sea.
But we got to Cyprus. I said, why there is no bombs here? I was young. I thought myself, the war was all over the world. I miss my friends. I miss my family. I tried to leave, to go back to my friends and that. But somebody, they catch me, my family, and they got me back. So they took my passport, the Lebanese passport, and they kept it with them, so you can't go nowhere.
More than a dozen close relatives awaited them in Cyprus, along with their uncle Sal, who was helping prepare the family's exodus. But they quickly learned the sectarian conflict had followed them across the sea.
Our visa was in the Canadian embassy, and the lady was Lebanese, the one she take people in and out. Christian, right away go. The Druze, Muslims, you're not refugee, you have to bribe. And we said, we have no money. How are we gonna go? My uncle went to the embassy and talked to the council. If it wasn't for him, we won't be here.
My father and uncle brought a lot of people from overseas, mostly family, maybe 25 people. They all stayed at our house, and I really remember enjoying all the action and all the parties he'd have there, sometimes over 100 people.
With every drink of water, with every bite of food you eat, it was always on my mind how to get back. My heart was there, and my mind was there, but my body wasn't.
I didn't go to school here. We had to work and support the family, support the house. And of course, mom and dad can speak the language, so we are the main supporter, me and my brothers.
I've been with Burger Barons since I was 13 years old. And I worked with Uncle Sam, and my brother used to work with Uncle Rudy. And then we finish from one place, we go to close another place. Everybody was helping everybody.
Every one of them have a burger baron, you know, and or if not him, will be his son, or not his son, his daughter, you know. The burger baron give lots of opportunities for us.
Rudy's apprenticeship wasn't just for close relatives. He gave away the company's trade secrets to anyone who asked, and encouraged them to do for their families what the burger baron did for his own.
My name is Jamil Amin Shahayib. I got involved with the Burger Baron restaurants in 1977. I owned one restaurant and I stayed there for about 16 years. And then I had enough. Rudy Kamaldeen was there. Initially, he was the man who invited us to go and visit Canada. I was a captain with Release Airlines, flying the heavy jets, Boeing 707. And because of the war, I had to decide to go to Canada and try to start a new life. I resigned from Middle East Airlines to go and become a pilot there. I tried with several companies, but unfortunately, they wouldn't hire me. They claimed that they probably eventually would fly to Israel and being Lebanese, I wouldn't be allowed to go there. There was about 4 or 5 restaurants belonging to people from the Shahayib family in Alberta. And I saw how big the business is.
It wasn't just the Burger Baron that immigrants co-opted. Based on the Kamaldeen's success, a suite of Arab-owned diners had cropped up under some crafty names, like Wemby's, Dairy King, B&W Dairy King, and the Big M. Though that one didn't last long after the bigger M sued. All, of course, had their way with the mushroom and Baron burger recipes.
I bought my restaurant in Rataskan from my cousin Tufi and his brother. I had spent at least 1 full month training, learning new things. Can you imagine somebody literally on top of the world coming down to start in the kitchen? I didn't like it, but I gave it all I could.
With Burger Baron, there was a great deal of prosperity that occurred in the community as a result of selling fast food for people who need it, and people were needing it at that time.
My first restaurant I opened in Lebanon before I came to Canada. It was in 1981. It's a Lebanese food. I ran that place only 1 year because Israel has come to Lebanon in 1982. It was a war where my restaurant is, and lots of damage, all the bullet and the bomb, everything gone.
I had a job in Beirut, Lebanon, with the Consolidated Engineering Company. I worked in there as a financial analyst, and we had a good life.
And there was a bomb in our building, and we are down in the basement, and the bomb comes in the building and collapsed on us with our kids. They were 4 years and 7 years.
It's completely destroyed. We lost everything. We decided this is not the place to raise a family.
Indirectly, you are in a fight. The situation put you in a spot that you have no choice. You play the survivor game. And that survivor game, sadly, it's a religious in the country, and the political point of view, they manipulate it that way. And they made us as an enemy against each other, against the people I grew up with. When you leave the house, when you say bye to your mom and dad, it almost feels this is the last time you're saying bye to them. This stuff, it brought me back a long time.
We were hanging out playing cards. All of a sudden, one big bomb came into the window, killed like 2 or 3 people in the same basement. When it hits the wall, it crashes and threw out some stones. It came to my side. It go to underneath my skin. It would only be 2 feet this way. It could have gone through me.
When we came here, our target was to go to school. I was going to go for dentistry.
I had in mind to become an engineer. I couldn't get the marks that I go to university.
But you know, when you are new, you have a family, you have to find a job to support them, you know.
Every Lebanese guy we know was in the restaurant business. We go visit them in their house and they go to the business, and then everybody has a burger brand. And we thought, okay.
20 years after the company was bankrupted and orphaned, the Burger Baron had made a comeback, all thanks to this one man. Rudy never demanded royalties or kickbacks. All he asked for in return was quality control. That might have been too much to ask.
I got into a uniform to my staff, a very nice uniform, you know, a complete outfit, and it cost me at that time almost $3,000 just for the uniforms. They put it on as long as I'm around. If I leave the place, they take the uniform off, you know. And the one they see me driving in the entrance, they run and put the uniform on. The Canadian, they kept it on always. It was if I'm in there or not. So that's the difference.
Do you think it would have been easier for you to get them to follow the rules if they weren't Lebanese?
Of course, Canadian or anybody stranger, they could do better.
Rudy was generous in his approach to any relative, any friend, any person that he liked, and they came and asked for the name. He said, go ahead. He has a big heart, and I envy him how he can put up with all that, you know, with a smile, with help in hand always. You know, when he gave everything to all those guys, he was happy to see them doing very well.
As the carnage in Lebanon raged on and on, Burger Barons became a terminal for other Lebanese people displaced by war. The owners taught them the recipes they got from Rudy and showed them firsthand what it takes to run a successful family restaurant. That's the secret recipe that was eventually passed down to my family decades later. You know, I talked to your dad about, about him finding out that we were a Burger Baron family and whether that, changed his perception of me.
Yeah, I guess to be honest, it did. Like I said, I've always felt favorable towards Burger Baron, and when I found out that you and your family had been involved with that, certainly I felt that, hey, we have a bit of a kinship and something in common. It definitely dispelled and allayed a lot of the trepidation I would have.
And it did.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's Albertan. You know? it makes you Canadian. No longer a foreigner.
Now a part of the fabric, the DNA of this great province of Alberta.
Absolutely.
Hi, Baba. Did you get your vaccine yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Excellent. Did you ever sell Lebanese food in the restaurant?
We tried one time to make falafel, and it didn't really sell.
Did you actually like the food at Burger Baron?
I think so, yeah.
You don't sound very convincing.
No, I do. I did like it. Okay,
Do you remember when I went to the restaurant on my own as a little kid?
You were about 3.5, and I didn't even know you were gone because you were supposed to be playing with your siblings. And you just walked out of the house, and I was cleaning or cooking or something. And then I get a phone call, Omar's here. I just freaked out.
Why did I go there?
To get ice cream.
Beautifully done.
I have a question. I worked in the restaurant. I think when I was 10, I was probably maybe taking some drive-in orders. And you put me in the dish pit. You never let me cook. How come? How come my older brother, got to be a cook?
You never liked the restaurant. One time was so busy. You came at just about lunchtime with your friend. You went to eat. You just didn't care. So I told the waitress, that's for Omar. I was so mad. You came to the kitchen, and I started yelling. I said, right beside Ali, start just doing the dishes. He didn't like it much.
I hated the dishes.
You were never meant to be a Burger Baron.
I don't think Ali liked it much, but that time he had no choice.
Did you originally want him to take over the restaurant? Was that your big plan?
Before I talked to Ali about it, I talked to your mom. She said, no, I don't want, your
And to go through what we
your
went
brother,
through and to miss what
he
we
doesn't
missed.
deserve it. You have to sacrifice your family for a while. Burger Baron, it made so many things for many families.
So when you think about that, what do you think the Burger Baron has meant to our community?
It's free.
It's free. It's free knowledge. Someone taught it to me. I taught it to you.
The Lebanese generosity.
Yeah.
to share.
You're right.
To share. That's how it is.
They don't cooperate very well,
No.
but they are generous. Yeah. Are you pooping?
No.
Pooping at the dinner table?
No way. No. No way.
Yeah. There's no pooping at the dinner table.
Yo, there's too many chefs in the kitchen. As soon as you
Burger Baron is the perfect business model for Lebanese who, let's just say, are famous for their independence.
You can notice something if you go to other burger bands, each one is different. Some of them, it's different. They don't follow rules.
Too much chefing out of the kitchen on the mission, interrupting while I chicken jerk something. Finna put 'em in it like stuffing another after another, have 'em looking like a freaking turducken. Ghetto bird, love it. Culinary.
No, it's better not to be in a franchise. You have to follow their rules.
They will tie you up.
Plus a little pick of pepper sauce, salt and pepper, told me push it when I pick the right flair. Is it life fair? Pimping, you don't wanna pick a fight, you wanna kick.
Everybody wants to be the CEO of the company.
Every rascal's a king in the castle. Equal ways how we're split in the cash flow. And everybody get Marilla Lagasse.
I run everything on my own. I don't deal nothing with a company, franchise, I do nothing. I run on my own.
Listen to he who's convinced the whole team, but really we speak for all us individually, right? But really,
I love this job.
You do?
Yes.
What's your favorite part of it?
Independence.
I've been to Burger Barons where they weren't good. I've been to Burger Barons that were fantastic. It's almost piques their curiosity. Let's go try Burger Baron, see what it's like.
There is no actual system. Let's say I wanted to add something to the menu or take something off. There's no head office to say anything.
Moscow cheese is a native reserve. I support them so they will feel at home when they walk in. We sell a Bannock burger and we sell a Bannock taco too.
Yo, there's too many chefs in the kitchen.
Oh my God, why are all burgers Bannock burgers?
But deaf when they listen, there's too many.
I've introduced a lot of vegan options in this place. Dairy-free cheese, vegan pepperoni, vegan sausage. I just haven't had the chance to fully take on the reins.
She's the boss.
Yo, there's too many chefs in the kitchen. Soon as you step in, you're wrestling with them. Blessed with the vision, but deaf when they listen. There's too many chefs in the kitchen. Too many chefs in the kitchen. Soon as
I like my freedom. And I know with my mentality, I can't take orders from somebody else.
McDonald's is not going to let you open up a laundromat inside.
No.
After another, have 'em looking like a freaking turducken. Ghetto bird, love it.
The root is a Canadian, but the trees and the fruit are Lebanese.
Of course, it would be a stereotype to say all Burger Barons are Lebanese. Some are Palestinian.
وين في عرب people بيجوا على وبيستلموا الاونر تبع البرجر بيرن.
Whether Christian, Muslim, or Druze, the syndicate is open to everyone. But there's an unwritten rule. Never give the mushroom sauce recipe to an outsider. Can you tell us what's in the mushroom sauce? What the ingredients are?
I don't like to talk about that.
The base is the Campbell's cream of mushroom.
That's right.
Okay.
And then you have to add things to it, right?
What do you add?
You add, there's things we add to it.
You're not going to tell me.
I can.
What's
Ask her dad.
What's in the mushroom burger sauce? But just because they don't share the recipes with outsiders doesn't mean there haven't been any information breaches.
Actually, most of the burgers is the Burger Baron's burgers. We got the same sauces and even the same burgers what the Burger Baron long time ago used to buy from that company.
What's in the mushroom sauce? The
Nothing.
mushroom
See, when you do the mushroom, as I do it on the grill, I show you how I do the mushroom burger. Lifted oil. I don't want nothing. That's the mushroom burger. No secret, no nothing.
All right. Oh, let's see. It looks the same. Something tastes off. I think he's punking me.
33 years old or 34, I don't know, when they first opened the Burger Baron in High Prairie.
I never thought I'd see one of these again. Did my dad know that you just took a menu from him?
Actually, your mom brought it for us, and she was a big help for us, too.
Really? Oh, you know, my favorite thing to eat is the poutine. Best poutine in all of Alberta. It's a pretty nice hat.
Too many chefs in the kitchen. As soon as you step.
Now, Ottawa may think it has cornered the market on shawarma, and Halifax might think it can claim the donair. Alberta, though, can certainly claim the Lebanese-inflected Burger Baron mushroom burger.
I would hear about the Camaldines in their restaurants by other people saying, oh, I drove through Milk River. The Camaldines have put another one up, or something like this. They had a huge menu. The sauce wasn't the same. The Baron, it wasn't the same. It looks like somebody looked at it and tried to draw it again, thinking, well, the name is all they need to be a success. And they had no, well, I guess they had a right to it, because it was, at that time, on the open market. It was frustrating, I guess I should say. But they just, the way they do business, I just wasn't impressed with them.
Part of Terry's frustration stemmed from unresolved feelings about his dad giving up too easily on the company after things went south. In fact, Jack McDonald had continued with the company, but as an independent. After dissolving the corporation in 1961, he moved to Regina to buy one of the original shops he used to collect royalties from. He ran it with his second wife as a mom and pop until retiring to California in 1979. He died a few years later.
I had a steakhouse in Lethbridge in the late 80s. After 4 years, I closed the restaurant, stumbled around, didn't know what to do, and I thought, shoot, there's no Burger Baron anymore in Calgary. Maybe I'll go up and start one up there. I thought it could be lucrative because of Calgary's history with the Burger Barons. Right off the bat, as soon as I put the sign up, it was good. And I got a lot of people saying, and where have you been? A guy came in, driving a Rolls Royce, came in and ordered a hamburger, and as I'm writing it down, he said, I invented that. And he said, also, I started this franchise. And then I asked him, do you know Jack McDonald? And he then was very quiet, got his hamburger, and left. I didn't know his name.
I know exactly who it was. I first investigated the true origins of the Burger Baron a decade ago, and as luck would have it, I found the originator right away. Or so I thought. Sal had weaved together a loose tale about co-founding the company with Jack McDonald and his brother Dick in 1957, barely a year after immigrating to Canada as a teenager. He told me he was a silent partner who'd come up with the recipes in lieu of any financial investment. And his biggest contribution? The mushroom burger sauce, which he claimed was made with secret Lebanese spices, claims he now denies ever making, as well as ever having told Terry that he invented the franchise.
We did not say we invented the Burger Baron or we started the Burger Baron. So we have Burger Barons.
So you never claimed that you
No.
had started the Burger
No.
Baron? But you had in the past.
He told me that he was the Burger Baron, and I've also heard from someone else that he had said the same thing to them.
Maybe misunderstood what I've said, but I don't think that I said I
Well, you told me
Yes.
that you had started the Burger Baron.
I don't know what you want to say. So if you want to report that, go ahead, report it. You could report anything you like.
In fairness to Sal, he probably wasn't the only brother pretending to be the inventor. There was a photo of you at the Leduc location where it was you in your kitchen uniform, and it said, Rudy Camaldine, Burger Baron, 1955, which was years before Burger Baron launched.
I don't know who took that picture, who enlarged them and put those writings on it.
Jabal.
Oh, your son?
My son, yeah.
Okay.
Thought it would look better to the customers, perhaps, to be honest. and wanted to make the Burger Baron name that much more interesting, I guess.
Did you used to tell people that you were the Burger Baron inventor?
No, I never even thought of it.
He claimed, certainly to my face, that he is the originator of the Burger Baron. He's the man. He's the guy that came up with all this stuff, like the logo and the food and stuff like that. Rudy was a very convincing individual, and he was standing in his Burger Baron, surrounded by his children telling me his story. So I had no reason to doubt him.
Yeah, it made the story sound a little better, right? The mushroom burger tasted a little better when you ate it, maybe, because of if you knew that story. That was where mafia comes in. That's about as criminal as we got.
So many people came to Rudy thinking he has the Burger Baron, and if they could open a Burger Baron, and Rudy said, go ahead, whatever the case. I used to drive to the Burger Baron's Burger Baron. You ask for a baronet, heaven knows what you'll get.
We can't even agree on our last name spelling, let alone, getting everything consistent, like sauces and everything else. So, of course, we had our challenges there.
For Terry and the Camaldines, the inconsistencies have tainted the brand name. But for the Burger Baron stalwart customers, the chaos might be the best part about it.
The reason it's so special is the lore, the urban legend that comes along with it. It's a chain restaurant that went wrong, and the food there's no quality control between them. The burgers are spongy, but I love them.
What I love about the Burger Baron is it's so mysterious. It's funny to imagine all these burger chains sprawling out from one origins and then disputing who the original guy was. And the Burger Baron, who is that guy?
Any other burger restaurant that you could go to, any franchise or something, that magic isn't there, that personality.
When I think of other fast food joints, it's all about reproduction, right? Everything has to taste the same every single time.
You have your favorite Burger Baron. You don't have your favorite McDonald's. You don't have your favorite Taco Bell or something, right?
The Burger Baron in Redwater makes pizza. Do other Burger Barons have pizza?
Yeah, my parents' restaurant was big on pizza. Maybe sold as many pizzas as burgers.
Wait, your parents had a...
Yes, I'm the son of a baron.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. You're royalty.
Sometimes when you walk into a more modern or updated one, it's kind of a letdown in a way.
What these superfans don't realize is just how hard the barons try to become the very thing they despise.
Back in the 80s, I invited a whole bunch of Burger Barons owners into Edmonton, and we will have our own suppliers mixing our stuff. And then I'll have a warehouse. Everything comes strictly for the Burger Baron. We tried to get everybody together to agree, so everybody will be all the same for all of them wherever you go.
His uncles Rudy and Fauzi had twice attempted to unify the chain, but it never lasted. By 1984, the Burger Baron brand had been overtaken and proliferated by a handful of Lebanese immigrant families. Thanks to them, the empire had never been bigger and never more disorganized.
The Civil War brought us some of the unwelcomed, you might say, in the business field. They don't have the first clue about PR or being nice to people or giving them their what they pay for.
So Nazem stepped up and tried to rein in the Burger Baron for the family once again.
Rudy gave me the okay to see if I could fix things the way I wanted.
If you could do it better, that's good for everybody, for me, for him.
He had no right to even tell him that. You could tell him that if he could do anything, he could tell you to go to the moon.
But there's the problem. No, mine is better. I said, we put 10 different sauces and let a food judge pick. But nobody would want to agree. You know how the Lebanese way. You can't put it through their head. So that younger guy have sometimes better ideas.
Nazem he's grandializing himself too much.
I think they were afraid of things that will not go their way. After I decided not to do it, a few got together and they wanted to do it themselves. That's when I refused and I wouldn't go with them.
Nazem, he's the nephew of Rudy Camaldine. He tried, and his uncle tried before several times. They failed. It was fait accompli sort of thing. This is when I started a new company called the Burger Baron Restaurants of Alberta. I wanted to get everybody involved, but we could be all together in one operation.
Jamil organized a Summit of the Barons in 1989, and perhaps because he wasn't part of the Camaldine family, he successfully convinced a dozen or two barons to meet in Edmonton to hear out his vision, including my dad and uncle Abdulaziz.
We were contacted to go and meet with some people at that Mayfield Hotel to try to make the Burger Baron franchise as it should be. The Burger Baron wasn't doing very well at that time, the reputation.
By the end of the 1980s, small-town diners like my parents had to contend with name-brand competition that had the advertising and buying power to price out the moms and pops.
They knew franchise, they can't register it. So we're just like an association.
I was doing this as a volunteer basis to show them that there is benefit in it. It could have been a much bigger company.
They're gonna try to unite the name and, get everybody together. There was so many people, like some of them, they brought the wives and, it's just like a gathering. Everybody excited what, on the end, what's gonna be. They start talking about getting all the building the same, and as soon as they start talking about building the same, nobody wanna be above, almost everybody wanna leave. Said, okay, well, don't worry about the building. We're gonna try to join together, at least when we buy the grocery and the meat from the company.
And then after that, he said, if I want to keep going like that, I need to have wages.
He's gonna be in charge, and he's gonna have his own office and his own secretary, and everybody started thinking, hey, this guy is gonna, fool us, and no, we're not.
Unfortunately, not everybody joined in because they were mostly individualists. Somebody who's been in the business for many years, being his own boss, didn't want to get somebody else involved.
You have your own place, and now somebody gonna, almost control your business and tell you what to do. And that's the worst. I'm the owner, and whatever happened, it's my decision.
Everybody wants to be self-employed. They don't want to take orders from somebody, and it's our nature. I don't know if anything came out of that meeting.
Jamil did manage to at least get that rebate he promised. But without any assistance from his fellow barons, he let it expire after 2 years and then retired for good.
It served its purpose. My purpose was to survive this period when my children graduate from universities and I don't need the business anymore. So I left it.
It was a good idea, if we went for it even. I think it'll work, just like have it like A&W.
When everybody agrees on the one and same idea, it would have been one of the best franchises in Canada.
I would have loved to see the Burger Baron in a lot better way than it is now.
But this wasn't the end of the Burger Baron's franchising efforts. As the old guard was losing steam, a new generation was making moves.
We knew that there is an association or some group trying to do the same thing. It didn't work. So I thought maybe I'll try my way, and I called it Burger Baron, the New Generation. I wanted to change the image of the company. So I came up with this idea with the Burger Baron logo, the New Generation. I thought this is gonna make a new wave. At the time, there were 60 Burger Barons. So I want to unify this and put it under one agreement and have one price for everybody. Everybody loves it. My cousins, my brothers, a lot of people show the interest. They show me the support. That's why I spent some money doing the jingle. They love the jingle. They want to use it. They want to be part of it. But when they see there's an agreement,
what I'm doing here is different than what he does.
No, I'm not signing this, even within our family. The lawyer advised me it's too difficult to franchise Burger Baron. If you want to claim it, you have to take each and every person to court. I end up creating Best Bite. So I kept the logo and changed the name from Burger Baron to New Generation.
How's that going?
So far, this is the first location.
No one has ever paid to use the Best Bite.
Not yet.
What about your family members?
They like the logo. They took the logo. They use it.
Maybe it's temporary or not, but that's what I'm using right now.
Every Lebanese guy is like that. Maybe that's our brain like that. I don't know.
I think it's a cultural thing. We have such a strong independence that a franchise system doesn't really work well with us.
This fierce independence has a dark side, apparent in Lebanon itself. It's this chronic disunity that pit party against party, religion against religion, and citizen against citizen. Though the civil war ended more than 30 years ago, the tyranny of incompetence spread through every part of Lebanon, from hyperinflation to basic services like garbage collection, electricity, and healthcare. It is, by all measures, a failed state.
I always excited to be here. It's a beautiful country, beautiful villages, beautiful mountains. But the corona for 2 years, we stayed home, and the situation for politicians in Lebanon is bad. We'll see what it was going to happen. If all settled, and we'll be glad to be here. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll be in Canada. I'll stay there. Yeah. Boy, there's a lot of clothes in it. I like to go on holidays and rest because I spend lots of time with the Burger Barons, working 18 hours a day, every week, and you don't go anywhere, just a big prison. It's about 15 years ago, we started coming to Lebanon, 4 or 5 months here, and the rest in Canada. There used to be a Burger Baron in LA. So we used to go there, and it's a very good food, and we used to enjoy it. All of a sudden, when we came back this year, it closed down. It looked something else, like a butcher shop inside. They still got the Burger Baron sign in there.
Rudy officially retired in 2015, but he gave up on being the godfather long ago, with some hard-earned lessons about loyalty and trust.
Most of the times, they lose their business because they never look after it. They go have a good time, and I get stuck looking after it. Everyone I helped, they put the blame on me if they didn't make money. So that's why now, even that time, they went on their own, and I was on my own, not involved with any of my cousins or brothers or anything.
Well, my father, he's a very generous, giving man, but that also opens doors to, sometimes being taken advantage of. And unfortunately, I saw quite a bit of that as well. We were having a hard time back in the 80s. He had lost a motel he used to own. He just was spread too thin. So without getting into too much detail, let's just say if the Kamaldeen family worked as close together as I wish they would have, they'd probably be billionaires right now.
Some relatives and others, and lots of them, they never call me. They come visit once in a while if they need something, in most cases. I learned not to help anybody I'm not too sure of them.
Do you think that the success of the Burger Baron was a curse over your family and your relationship with your brothers?
Well, it helps. Yeah, it might be. It might be because I was successful, and everybody think if they open Burger Baron, they're probably like Rudy. They'll be successful. But I mean, you'll have to work like Rudy, not go picnic and leave the staff running the place. You have to work and work and work. Anything you want to do, you'll have to do it right or don't do it. Simple as that. I have enough of the whole deal, and to me, I should learn, and I did learn, so I'm okay after that.
Rudy's decision to pull back his influence created an opportunity for a new godfather, and one showed up in the most unlikely form. In 1996, 2 trademark applications were submitted for the Burger Baron name and logo from Regina, Saskatchewan, and the applicant was none other than Jack McDonald's widow, Ricky. She'd been operating a popular Burger Baron after his death and was preparing to appoint her son James to the throne.
When Dad died, Ricky moved back to Regina. Then she built a new one on the lot.
While there are many fast food choices available, McDonald hopes his gamble will pay off and cook up even more business for his locally owned and operated Burger Baron.
I'm a capitalist, and I just wanted to grow the business and hopefully move forward after this, maybe to Saskatoon and other markets after this.
There you go. Have a nice day.
Ready to expand to a second location, Ricky's sons had advised their mom to protect the family legacy once and for all. Their trademark was challenged almost immediately by another company, Camaldine Food Enterprises. But it wasn't Rudy in charge now. It was his younger brother, Sal.
Ricky McDonnell applied 1 week earlier than I did.
Just by coincidence?
It's a coincidence, yes.
The both of you decided that it was time to finally rein in the Burger Baron after 34 years.
That is the funniest part about it. I said, Ricky, you applied 1 week earlier than I do. I could be spending a couple of $100,000 for lawyers' fees, and you could be spending a couple of $100,000 for lawyers' fees, and we will not get anywhere.
Rather than fight it in court, they decided to split the territory. Ricky would get Eastern Canada and the US, and the Camaldines would get Alberta and BC.
Ricky talked to me about it, and I said, I don't think you should. I think you should leave that one alone. The name is across the country. You can't go back to them and say, you owe me a whole bunch of franchise fees, a percentage of your gross in the last 20 years. You know, that's not going to work.
The evidentiary question of who started Burger Baron, who had the original IP, is so lost in time that it would be very difficult for somebody to succeed on either a passing off claim or a trademark enforcement claim.
The corporation had the rights to the trade name, and the corporation went under, and nobody had it. It was up to anybody who wants it. Anyway, they went ahead with it. I don't think anything came of it.
Certainly nothing came of it for Ricky out in Saskatchewan. She was the lone baroness running 2 successful restaurants with her son James. But Alberta was a different story.
When we got the franchise, that's when I got stern with everybody.
He came over here and he said, you should do this and you should do that.
Nobody cared about it. As long as they're making money and putting it in their pocket, they don't care about what the Burger Baron does.
He said, excuse me, who allowed you to open Burger Baron? I said, well, I allowed myself.
He phoned and he told me he's the original owner.
I never said that I invented the Burger Baron or did that.
Once I come in here, he wanted money for the name. And I told you, okay, when I see advertiser, when I see everybody Burger Baron together, I see like McDonald's with advertiser on TV, you come help me to fix the parking lot. He said, you gonna help? We'll do it. He said, no, I need the money first. And we said, we'll do it. He said, no, sir.
He said, the name, it's gonna cost you $450 a month. So I said, you're not getting nothing.
So that's the problem with the Lebanese mentality this way. They cannot accept one person in charge. They cannot. It's against their genes.
Whether he allowed me or not, I'm not going to keep it anyway until I see something legal.
I don't care who it is. You should have seen me with I fired my kids one time.
Is that true?
Yeah. If I do it with my family, do you think I would go to some nincompoop?
I don't even have your sign, my Chinese friend, and I have a pizza steakhouse.
Oh, and I said, you know what? Get out of here.
So I shut him up. That's the only phone call I got.
That's why I phoned my lawyer. He said, no, nothing, nobody deal with you, nothing. If you go back to you, just phone me.
I didn't do anything, so things went with the wind.
So nothing happened.
I became the bad guy of the Burger Baron, and Rudy is the godfather of the Burger Baron.
Although Sal Camaldine had bought into the rights to oversee Burger Baron in Western Canada, that didn't give him ownership over the brand's IP. When the company's president, James, learned his partner had been misrepresenting himself as the founder and using his slogans without permission, he threatened Sal with a cease and desist. Soon after they resolved their issues, Sal resigned and passed his company shares down to his next of kin, a baroness.
My name is Tamara Kamaluddin Engel, and my relationship to the Burger Baron is I am now a 50% shareholder of the Burger Baron Canada. Burger Baron's been part of my life for as far back as I can remember. I ran my own location for 21 years here in Lethbridge as well, so it's in our blood. I think the biggest obstacle is trying to band everyone together to realize that things could be stronger as opposed to having them feel that you're taking away from them. And I think it's just a lot of old school mentality, Lebanese mentality. I'm the best, and why do you think you can do something better than I can do? Whereas I'm not trying to tell them that I can do something better than you can do. But you've got ideas, and I've got ideas, and he's got ideas, and she's got ideas, and we put them all together, and we can be something real and something strong, as opposed to just being a meme.
How realistic do you think it is for the Burger Barons to come together and agree, not just elect one baron, but one baroness?
How likely at its present situation? Not great. But I believe in the future, and the younger generation have the ability to see outside that box, and that could become a reality. I just don't think that women are in the Lebanese culture are given enough opportunity to be able to do that. It's always the men in the control, and the women are the silent ones, even though they do have a pull and they do have a say. It's the men that are the face of any business that's been run.
In those 8 years, have you managed to successfully franchise a new Burger Baron?
Not yet.
No. Do you think that owning the copyright then encouraged more knockoffs?
The knockoffs have been around for a while as well. They're not running as a Burger Barons. Some of them have been Burger Barons and changed their names, but I don't think that there's any new recent abundance of knockoffs, no.
The brand identity is completely different. The color schemes are completely different. And it's Burger Barons with an S. It's not Burger Baron. I have faith that the brand can first grow within Alberta and then other places internationally. I have all the qualifications to do that, humbly speaking. I worked in Switzerland, I worked in Germany, in Dubai, and in London as a marketing director. My childhood was actually in Toronto. My parents came down to visit family, friends in Alberta a long time ago. Every time I wanted to come and have a burger, I'll tell my parents, let's go to Uncle Nazi. Little did I know, I'm gonna come back to the place that I held close to my heart. I want to ensure that the brand lives in the hearts of the people like it lived in my heart as a child. The newer menu is by far much more sophisticated. We've changed the mushroom burger recipe. So the secret recipes for the rest of the burgers is not made available. Unless they franchise with me, then only will be available. I've actually trademarked the logo and the identity and the menu and the name.
I've been going back and forth with my lawyer on different aspects of it and what can hold ground and what can't. So it's really up in the air.
What about the Burger Baron parody account on Twitter?
Yeah,
Are you familiar?
Yes.
Okay.
I know about them all.
On Twitter, there is a Burger Baron account, and it's run by somebody, we don't know who. He will tweet a lot of opinions, profane and profound. I love it. I think it's great.
It does give us a bad name, and that's not who we are, and that's not what we promote.
I think it's pretty funny, kind of raunchy, kind of peachy. Not a lot of people know that it's not an official account.
You know, we're a family-run business, and we support all franchises. But obviously, it hurts us. It's not right to bash another restaurant.
I know that's a fake account. I'm aware of that, yes. I don't know who that is. Is that you?
It makes us look like a bad guy, that we're all about us and only us, and that's not true.
I find his humor funny. Yeah. Is that you?
No, wallah, it is not me. It's not me, I swear. I tried my best to get the mystery person to come forward, clear my name, or at least explain their obsession with the Baron. I offered them the full anonymity of a government whistleblower. But even revealing themselves to a handful of people was apparently too risky. However, I did manage to get a few questions through. I can pass that to you, and then you read the answers. What inspired you to create the Burger Baron parody account?
It was clear that the Baron needed a voice and someone for the loyal customers to rally around. All the corporate accounts are boring as shit and ran by some
asshole with a popped collar and cotton candy vape pen
who has never set foot in Alberta. People want to
get a dose of the local culture that makes it what it is.
It feels like he's trying to hold on to a childhood.
When did you start picking fights with other fast food chains on Twitter?
Look, the Baron has always been fair to Harvey's, but the rest can
fuck right off. The social media manager posing as the redhead or the clown, trying to bite back every now and then, but they're restrained by
the corporate responsibility
and a properly trademarked brand.
So what is your actual opinion of Burger Baron food?
There isn't a Burger Baron joint in Alberta with more history and a devoted, loyal following than the Baron.
And for good reason, not many people can name their favorite
McMonstrosity, but all Baron junkies can name the exact Burger Baron order they would get and from what location.
And if you are lucky enough to have one that sells fried chicken, which we do over here, not sure why you would ever leave. My death row meal would easily be the fritters, fries, and double mush.
With the biggest bucket of gravy they got.
Yeah, the gravy's great. We make our own gravy.
Long live Jewel of the Gravy District. Yeah. Obviously, he holds Burger Baron in his heart, but I just think he goes about it quite disrespectful to Burger Baron.
There is a certain subset of people for whom the parody account is actually good advertising. They kind of love the fact that the Burger Baron has been a bit of a shit show.
I have no idea what the appeal to that would be.
Because it's been a photocopy of a photocopy of a print of a photocopy of a photo that somebody took from their Polaroid. There's all these variations, and I don't know if that's part of the charm.
I've talked to many people, tried to explain it, because if someone sees me with a tattoo, they're like, what the hell is that? I'm like, yeah, you know, it's like burger and it's good, it's like, but it's like spongy, so it's like kind of weird. But also they put like Campbell's mushroom soup, like concentrate on top of the burger, which is awesome. And people are like, that sounds terrible. I'm like, no, it's really good.
Burger Baron represents every amazing small town in Alberta and what it's like to live in a small town in Alberta. That's part of the amazing story that I think is awesome, that it's like this amazing immigration story where people come here. And then could you imagine like living in Alberta in the 70s? Like, we're not the most progressive place in the world. I can't imagine how hard that would have been to be slightly different than everybody else and trying to fit in. Well, you lived it.
I wouldn't exactly say that I lived it. By the time I was born, my family was well established. But my parents lived it. It's just something they don't like to talk about. Did you guys ever face any racism or discrimination?
Never.
You didn't feel that way?
You know, that's what one thing I want to tell you. I've been here almost 50 years. I never slap a guy, or I got a slap.
Never slapped like you mean. You're translating it to English. It's not a...
You've never slapped a guy, okay. But have you wanted to slap a guy?
I never had a problem with anybody.
You don't think people ever got upset or jealous that, you know, immigrants coming into this small town and really, you know, ascending?
There's a few people, you know, you could feel it because we have a business to take care of. We don't want to pick up, you know, any problem with anybody. You know, just leave it and it will go away. But if you face it, you know, you're going to be in trouble.
I got the sense from my parents and the other first-generation Barons that they were holding back the truth a little bit. Either because they had a business to protect and they didn't want to rock the boat, or they just didn't want to appear ungrateful. When was the last time you ate at Burger Baron?
I don't know, it's been a while, but when my parents came over last weekend, I asked them to bring me a mushroom burger.
Small towns can be fertile ground to start a successful business and secure your children's future. But it can come at another cost for them. Thank you. Nobody knows this better than Nizar Watfa, a Burger Baronet who turned those hardships into a persona.
Well, ever since I was a kid, for as long as I can remember, you deal with it to some extent. When I first moved to Lamont, there was quite a bit of racism. People would make fun of my name, and once they got to know me, they kind of stopped. But there was always still one or two kids that would say something that was kind of off color or racist, and just to them it was normal.
Yeah.
And they would laugh, kind of thing. But whether it hurt me or not, I wouldn't let people see it.
When you bring it up with the Burger Baron owners, it's a completely different answer based on the generation you ask.
I think that a lot of it had to do with maybe they didn't know. You could say something. My dad was always worried about us because we're the only minority in a small farm town, right? So just to keep us safe, it was easier just to keep us in the restaurant. My parents, have that old school mentality where it's family helps the family, and it doesn't matter what is going on. But when you're a teenager and whatever, work is the last thing you want to do, When people ask me what was your first job, I'll tell them it was slavery. Because, I felt they're just always cracking the whip on me, trying to get me, to work more, work harder, but, they're trying to keep me out of trouble and just make sure that I have, a good work ethic.
Were you the oldest son?
Mm-hmm.
You are.
No.
Do you think that played a part in it? Because my older brother and me, we had very different experiences with the Burger Baron. Where I was working in it at a young age, but I think it was more about just teaching me about the value of work. But with my brother, he was clearly being groomed.
My dad would always say, when I'm not around, you're the man of the house. You have to take care of things and make sure everybody and everything's okay. This is your job.
So my brother took over the restaurant in 2008. He wanted to take the opportunity to do his own thing with it, change the name, and it surprised me. There was not a moment in my life where I thought about running the restaurant. Not even a hypothetical. I appreciate the fact that it did so much for my family and me personally. I went to college without any student loans, and I came out debt-free. Why? Because of Burger Baron. There were some cool perks to it as well. Nothing will win over friends more than being able to order a pizza to their house when you got the munchies and have it there in half an hour free. Just saying. At the same time, the Burger Baron can be like a prison sometimes. And I don't judge my parents for it because I know that they have the right priorities. But now that I have kids, I can't imagine how that would weigh on my conscience. To miss out on the things that they're passionate about. I don't think we actually have ever really sat down and talked about what we wanted to do with our lives. We're coming up to it. There it is. I haven't seen that sign in a while. Was it hard for you to dishonor your family's legacy by calling it Boondocks?
Boondocks Grill. No, I didn't really want a whole lot to do with that name. Nothing against the Burger Barons. I love Burger Baron food. I love walking into a Burger Baron, but it needed to be my own. There's that nostalgic feeling when you're driving through a small town, prairie town, and you see a Burger Baron. You can walk in there, it's like walking into through a time machine. I just didn't want that. I wanted the town to have something that was a little more modern. We wanted to have a place where people can meet for work, they can come on a date, maybe something closer to the city than a small town.
When did you realize that you were being groomed to take over the family restaurant?
I had no desire to work anywhere else when I was younger. I didn't want to work for someone that I didn't know. I'd rather work for my dad.
I just assumed it was because you were the eldest son.
That probably had something to do with it too. When it comes to the oldest son, I don't know if they expect more.
They definitely expect more.
Okay, they expected more. I don't know if I wanted any other choices, but at some time, you just accept that if I want to provide for the family like mom and dad did, then this was really my one shot. So when dad tells me in 2008 that the current owners don't want to renew their lease, and there's a possibility of him selling, that scares me. Knowing that my last chance of having this as my own could possibly be gone.
Did it bother you that I had like a lot more freedom of choice maybe with what I was gonna do with my life?
A little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit. And I didn't understand why you had these options, but with me, maybe I was already, like you said, groomed for it. He's already learned these skills. We might as well take advantage of it.
A funny thing happened after my family's restaurant was renamed. Another immigrant moved to High Prairie, bought up a rundown restaurant, renovated it, and renamed it, what else? Burger Baron.
I know they're doing well, looking good for them. I love to hear that story of someone coming from back home, bringing their family here, raising them in this small community where there isn't much of an Arab community, and doing their own thing and being successful. How could you not love that story?
It was one of the last Burger Barons to open, made possible only because the man who started it, and has since sold it, was a relative of the Camaldines. Let's try this milkshake. That's a perfect milkshake. Thank you. The family's exclusive rights have only prevented new Burger Barons from opening. More importantly, it's done nothing to stop them from closing. More than a third of existing Burger Barons have closed in the last decade, including Rudy's last spot in Edmonton, including Sal and his daughter Tamara's 3 locations in southern Alberta, including the last 2 owned by the McDonald family in Regina. As big box restaurants, upscale casual dining, and foodie culture encroached on the humble hamburger, they made a last-ditch effort to keep up with the trends.
Yeah, definitely. I'm a little bit nervous about it. I do believe my father would be 100% on board with it.
But the pivot to healthy choices was not enough to keep the doors open.
Starting a restaurant in the 70s, 80s, 90s just seemed to be so much simpler, definitely easier.
It was much easier. I was thinking I'll give them empire of a restaurants, so they'll do very well. And my grandsons, I hope they'll do the same thing I did, even if 50% what I did. Now it's completely different. It's harder, that's for sure.
Everything's so oversaturated. There's so many franchises now, you can't even keep count of them anymore. And not to mention costs going up. It's just getting harder and harder.
It's not just oversaturation, but the hyper-industrialization of the food industry. Even if the Barons could get their shit together, they could never compete with all the new chains able to scale up and spread globally at record speed.
My kids were born, and I was supposed to take a year off, but I didn't have the heart to leave the kids.
Come on. Okay.
You could always make more money, you can't make more time. And time always mattered to me more than money. I never did go back to the restaurant.
They got sick and tired of the selling hamburgers, and they want to spend time with their families. So I was easy with them. I'm not going to argue with them if they want to work something else.
A few years now, I've owned a finance company. My brother and sister ended up selling and going in their corporate world as well now. There's good and bad to that, It's good that, okay, well, we can expand to something different and maybe better. It's sad because it's kind of like an end of an era.
It's sad. Everything's got to have an end to it. Yeah.
This Burger Baron was like a constant in your life?
Yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, it was like pretty often, like I know, at least once a month.
Really
I was
sad?
legitimately sad.
Really?
Yeah, it was like a piece of my childhood gone.
Did you feel like, oh, if only I went there more often, if only I,
No, I didn't feel like I went there too little. I think I went at the maximum amount I should have.
My niece texts me and she says, hey, they're shutting down the Burger Baron on the end of White Avenue. And I was like, no. We're going to stop in and we're going to have a burger. I'm talking to the owner. He's in tears. I see people coming in and out and they're crying. And I'm like, what the hell? Is this a burger joint and everybody's crying? There's something going on here that I'm not getting. Why is everybody so upset? And they're like, well, that you care enough. And I'm choking up. As my kids and I are leaving, I look and I see the sign in my rearview mirror as we're pulling out. And I stop and I'm like, I need to be a part of this. This is too good. So first thing, I get it home, I pressure wash it in my backyard. All I can smell is hamburgers. Like the grease is just lifting off with the hot water, and I'm like, I've made the right decision.
Can you tell us how much you paid for it?
20 mushroom burgers worth. Honestly, I think Burger Baron is closing because it's not fashionable. People see the Burger Baron, but they don't see the Burger Baron. And they forget to appreciate what it really is. And it's that burger, it's that logo, it's that smell, and even more, it's that family that came from the other side of the world.
Changing consumer values no doubt has a lot to do with the closures. But there's a bigger problem they're facing. The next of kin, the baronets and baronetesses.
I wouldn't be buying stock in Burger Baron. How many kids want to work in Burger Baron, take it over, run it, and face all the competition that they have in the drive-thrus and the this and the that? How many of those sons of Burger Baron families want to run a Burger Baron? How many of them can even talk their own kids into working there during the summer?
I played a lot of soccer growing up, and I honestly don't remember one game my parents ever watched me play, right? Because they're always in the restaurant, they can't. They're not gonna leave the restaurant at 5 or 6 o'clock during rush hour to go watch an hour soccer game, right? Even though the soccer field is just down the road, still.
You're just trapped. You're here all the time. You can't get away.
It's a sacrifice you're making.
Yeah.
Like every family, your life, everything, right, for the restaurant.
It's drilled in your head that you need to feel guilty if you try to do anything else. But with this new generation, they don't have that. There's hope for them.
They have their own dreams, and they're not the dreams of their parents. And you only have to be a parent and a grandparent for about 5 minutes to learn the truth of that. My dream is not your dream.
I was in my second year of political science, and then he had his heart attack, and especially with us, it's like I'm the only boy in the family, and that's kind of a huge responsibility in Lebanese culture, especially. So I don't know. I kind of seen it as like a duty of mine to just step in.
My dad just had a heart attack, so with that happen, I know my dad would sell the restaurant yesterday if he could, but the problem is my mom is still wants to go hard, go at it. She would sell it if the right offer came, but she doesn't want to give it away.
Alexa, 4 minutes and 30 seconds time. The people who run those things are not about to give them up, but they will have to either give them up or find somebody else to take them over, and there's the problem.
I had twice heart attack, and the doctor told me he can't work, and kept going. I had a couple of MRI and a couple of needles and a lot of shots, cortisone, and still going. I'm not gonna leave it. That's why I put them for sale. And I hope so when somebody buy this place, he take care for like the same I take care for. I fixed this one, I got $30,000 on those tiles, the whole kitchen. Ice cream machine, pizza oven. You can't find this no more anywhere else.
I remember mom waking me up and she's like, you need to go to work. Your dad doesn't feel well. Something is wrong. We're taking him to the hospital. So I came in, I seen my dad. He didn't look great. It wasn't long after where mom called us and said, hey, it's pretty serious. He had a heart attack. They're flying him out to Edmonton. And I remember going to the hospital and he was on the gurney there. And just looking in his eyes and thinking this might be the last time I see him. And it happened at the restaurant. So it wasn't easy to see. Talked to him after did the procedure and they put some stents in him. He said he felt like a new man. And he'd come and he'd still want to work just as hard.
Yeah.
He'd come in at 6, 7 in the morning and start organizing or cleaning or doing whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah. Are you trying to do things differently from the way our parents did? How are you protecting yourself against that?
I don't know if I'm protecting myself. 5 years ago, we started closing on Sundays to have some sort of normalcy with the family so they don't kind of grow up just knowing the restaurant life.
Would you want your kids to take over the restaurant?
You have big dreams for your kids, but there's nothing wrong with the restaurant life. I know it's hard. I know it's demanding. I know you're here all the time, and the restaurant becomes like a second wife or the family kind of thing, a second family.
No, a second wife.
One of my 4 wives. Like, I know it's demanding, but it's not so bad. It really isn't. I've been able to provide for the family in a community that I love, that I grew up in. It's what I know. I guess it's what I love.
Because of a popular little burger shack that went rogue, we were able to secure a future for ourselves and our children, reunite with our families, and get loved ones out of a war zone. I wondered if Jack McDonald ever had an idea of what his true legacy really was.
He wouldn't have realized that. I'm learning a lot right now, today. I didn't know there's near as many in the family as you've suggested. Like, I think that's great that a group of people or individually, they do well because of the Burger Baron.
If I meet Jack McDonald, I will thank him because by using the Burger Baron, it did give me the pleasure and the comfort and the successful I ever dream of it. I will tell him, and he should be proud, and I thank him millions times already.
There may not be as many Burger Barons as there used to be, but were it not for the immigrants, refugees, and foreign workers, there may not be any left at all. Wait. Don't you want to know how the mushroom burger sauce is made?
So we got Campbell's cream of mushroom soup.
Oh man, I remember that can opener.
It's the same one from when we were kids. We're gonna take our Tabasco sauce, we're gonna add 10 splashes. Worcestershire sauce, and we're gonna add 4 to it. Some soy sauce, a little bit more. And then we're just gonna mix it up.
So it really is just these 4 ingredients.
This is it. There's not much to it.
No cumin, no sumac, no Lebanese spices.
Not a single Lebanese spice. It's not a pretty sauce, but tastes fantastic on that burger.
Burger Baron! We're the hot spot right here in town. People know